Hey everybody, welcome to the Agency Hour. Hope you guys are doing well. Playing my Johnny tunes. I guess I should fade that out before we get tagged for for audio coming in from licensed audio, whatever. Hey, good to see all of you guys and those of you joining on the podcast. So glad that you guys are here. This is the Agency Hour. I am hosting Johnny Flash. I'm your host. Coach at Agency Mavericks, and just excited to be here with you guys. So today we have a very special guest, which I am super excited about. And she is recently joined Agency Mavericks as a coach, but before that, she was in Agency Mavericks as one of our students, I guess, or cadets, as I guess we would call them. So she has come on as a coach, and she is crushing it both in her agency, her personal life, and as a coach. And so we wanted to bring her on today to talk about how she runs her business and kind of how she is able to juggle being a mom and doing all the other things that she has responsibilities for in her life while still running an agency. So please welcome our special guest, Jennie Lakenan.
Hey, Johnny.
I need like a button. Yeah. Awesome. How you doing?
Good. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you today and share some value, hopefully, and not just blabber and talk about myself.
If you see me typing at any point during this, it's going to be just because I'm taking notes. I felt so bad. I had someone on the Agency Hour a week or two ago, and I was just taking notes. So Max is muting my keyboard because it's clanking away because I'm typing notes as he was talking. And anyways, it was really good. So I know that you're going to give us some good gold nuggets here. So for those of you for those that are listening that don't know you, give us just a quick kind of intro of yourself.
Yeah. So my name's Jennie Lakenan. Like Johnny said, I dub myself website consultant for life coaches. Most of my clients are certified coaches who are just really anxious to grow their online businesses and, be an example of what is possible and help their clients to live better lives. And I just, when I first started my business, I thought I would be a certified coach myself. Like that was kind of what I was trying to start a business for. And then I realized wow, so many of these coaches that are in my network, they either don't have a website or their website is just really a lousy representation of the quality of coach that they are. And I just thought, this is a problem and I want to fix it.
Love it. So how did you pivot from being a life coach to designing websites for life coaches?
Yeah, well, so I found coaching first and I loved coaching and I was excited about it. And I was, consuming all of the coaching podcasts and talking to getting as much kind of free coaching from coaches who were like in certification and giving away coaching as I could. And then as I was, after the coaching call, I would be like, hey, can I just ask you a quick question about being a coach real quick? Because I really want to get certified. And do you have any advice for me? And they would give me their experience. And it was really, really generous of them to do that. And then as I did that more and more and was kind of checking out their online presence, that was when I realized okay, I want to pivot to, I'm not going to pursue coaching. Actually, right now, I'm going to start a business building websites for coaches. And so I did my first website in the fall of 2018. And it was a service trade. So a coach was like, oh, I'll give you coaching and you build my website. And it was a great experience. She actually still uses that website, which I love.
Oh, wow. Cool. So you already knew how to build websites, or were you trying to figure out how to do that through all this?
I didn't. I really just taught myself. I YouTubed a lot, and then I think I bought a Udemy course, and then of course since then, I've consumed lots of different courses and implemented a lot better systems than I had then. But yeah, I was just scrappy.
So you've just started your agency in the last 4 years, is what you're telling me. I would have never known. I mean, I kind of knew that, I guess, because when you went into the program, I knew you had only been doing it for a few years, but hearing it again, I'm surprised and blown away because you've had so much success and have grown so well that I would have guessed that it had been longer. So that's awesome. So Now you also have another role besides agency owner, and that's mom, and I'm sure that involves a whole bunch of other things. So tell us a little bit about like when you're not working, what consumes your time.
Yeah. So I have 3 kids, 8 and under.
Mm-hmm.
They're all girls. There's an 8-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So when I started my agency, I had 2 kids under 5.
Wow.
And my husband was working full time,
Mm-hmm.
and he worked for a company that would get really, really busy during prom season. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes he was gone like 60, 70-hour weeks.
Wow.
And, it was not like he hated his job, but it was just like consumed so much of his time and so much of
Mm-hmm.
his energy. And our real goal was we want to be a work from home family. Like
Mm-hmm.
we thought it would be him doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
want him to come home and be working from home and we can set our own schedule. And like, that was really our dream. But he was just so busy at work that he had no time or energy to like grow a side hustle into
Mm-hmm.
a bigger business that then he
Mm-hmm.
could quit his full-time job to grow. And so, I sat in resentment for a little while and then I just realized like, who better than me? That was like my thought, like who better than me to like make this happen for us and take that burden from him kind of needing to like build a business and work full time and stuff. And so um I was already looking for that. And then I
Mm-hmm.
found coaching and then I found the need for coaches to have websites. And then it was just like this like perfect, beautiful thing of, hey, it answers our need of and desire of wanting to work from home full time. And it's like this beautiful industry that I'm so passionate about already, like coaching, because it improved my life so much, implementing the things that I learned from coaching. And it was just this beautiful kind of package of here you go. Grow
So
this.
is he still running is he still doing the 60, 70-hour job during prom season, or what's going on?
No, not at all. No, he quit his job about 3 or 4 months after I got my first paying client. I think we'd had our first month where we were
Mm-hmm.
making, this was spring of 2019, by the way. So I built my
Mm-hmm.
first website fall of 2018. Spring of 2019 is when he quit his
Mm-hmm.
job, excuse me.
Okay.
So I think we'd had our first month where I made as much in the agency as he made full time at his day job.
Mm-hmm.
And our plan was to go like a full year of that, have a
Okay.
full year of us making more or at least the same amount in the agency as his job before he quits. But we had that first month of like the same amount as his day job. And it was just like, we just got this like nudge, you just get that inner
Mm-hmm.
nudge
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like call it divine or whatever you want to call it, the
Yeah.
universe. And we just knew that we needed to quit his day job because it was me trying to be full-time mom and take care of the kids during the day and build the agency it was going to hold back the growth that was possible.
So
And
is he
so,
like the VP now, or what? What's the what's is he like Mr. Mom? Like what's he doing these days?
I mean, I guess you could call it Mr. Mom. I don't ever think that word, but he's full-time dad. Yeah, he takes
Okay.
care of our 3 kids during the day. He runs the house. He does
Okay, that's
homeschool.
awesome. No,
Like,
that's so. First,
yeah.
let me just say that it's amazing. I want to hats off to you just in that taking the courage to like one, you didn't make any excuses for your situation, right? Because your husband was working a gazillion hours. You had 2 kids under 5 at home, and you said, "I'm going to take this by the horns, and I'm going to just start this business and run with it." And so that's amazing. Like just that courage that you had to kind of like just chart your path, I think is awesome. And then I think it's also impressive that your husband recognized like your success and your ability and believed in that. And then like said, hey, I'm going to take a step aside here. I'm going to help out more with the kids and the house and everything so that you can go full into this. Like, I think that that's just an amazing story.
Yeah, he is such a rock star, like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just believed in me from the beginning, and I'm really, really grateful for that, and the fact that
Yeah.
he doesn't have, like, insecurities around, like, being the
Yeah.
at-home parent and having a wife that is the breadwinner, like, I know
That's
that that's
huge.
just
It's huge. It's awesome. So
yeah,
hats
I
off
don't
to
take it
both
for
of you.
granted.
What a great story. So that was all in 2019. You get your first paying web client. And then,
Mhm.
now I know you have lots of clients and a team and all that. So um tell us just kind of, I guess, give us a kind of, tell us that story if you could.
Yeah. So I think what really helped me to grow my business as quickly as I have over the last 4 years is because I have a very like tight niche. So you might look at me, you might look at my website and you say, "Oh, Jennie works with coaches." I'm like, well, that's true, but it's also not true in the sense that like coaches is still a very broad niche. There are a lot of different coaching certifications. There are lots of different places that coaches hang out in the world and online.
Sure.
But I like my niche that I originally niched down to, and that is still primarily where I market myself, is coaches that are certified through the Life Coach School.
Okay.
And the Life Coach School is like a particular certification program, and it's a very tight network. And there is, there's like a 1 or 2 Facebook groups where they hang out. And I am also certified through the Life Coach School. And so the fact that I'm in that network and that they know me, and that has allowed me to really grow my business because I'm really like the bigger kind of player in that network. And that doesn't sound very humble of me to say, but like it's true. And so that I think has been the biggest thing that has helped me to grow my business so quickly. And I love getting in that community and being really helpful. And just anytime anyone asks like a tech related question or a website related question, I just get in there. Primarily Facebook group is where I like hang out, and I just answer questions, and I don't even market myself really, like because
You're
you're not
just the
allowed
most helpful
to.
person in the room, right? And it
Yeah,
just
I
kind of
just
comes
try to be
back, right?
helpful. And it's so fun. Like I love being helpful. And so they just get to know me as that person, and then they check out my website, and my clients now like tag me sometimes in there when people need help. So I think that is the biggest thing that has helped me to grow. And now we've got about, I don't know. What do you want to know, Johnny?
Tell us about your team size. Tell us, just kind of give
Okay.
us some numbers that kind of help people understand like where you've gone in just 3 or 4 years.
Okay, gotcha. So started out just me in 2019. In August, I hired my first virtual assistant. She's still with me. She's now our front end developer. So there are sort of, and then we have a care plan manager as well. So me, the front end developer, and the care plan manager are kind of like the core team, the 3 of us. They're both based in the Philippines. And then we have some additional like key contractors that are more adjacent. Like we have a brand designer who is also a certified coach that works with us on most of our clients, and then a couple of designers and a developer as well.
So your overhead's very low in terms of your costs, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So you can have high profits pretty easily. And then you have, how many clients would you say, just approximation, would you say you're serving on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've got like 5 to 7 concurrent projects going on at any time, like new website builds going on at any time, 5 to 7 of those. And then we've got about 60, 65 care plan clients that we maintain their site every month and, do the updates and everything. So
awesome. So just in 3 years, you went from 0 monthly clients to 60 to 65 monthly clients, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
And you went from doing everything yourself to now kind of a core team of 3 plus a number of freelancers and contractors that you kind of use, right? That
right.
is awesome. Hey, James, glad you're joining us here on Facebook. So that's just incredible. I mean, I think if most agency owners could go from doing it all themselves to having a small team and having 60 monthly clients to rely on, because that, I know from my own experience, that smooths out a lot of the kind of up and down roller coaster you can have running an agency, where it's like feast or famine. You've either got so many projects you have no time to do anything, or you've got no projects and you're trying to figure out like how you're going to pay the bills, this month, because everything's slow. So I think that's amazing. Now, and the other thing that's, I think, particularly unique about your story, lots of things actually, but one thing that I want to point out is that, I think some people would say, oh, that's amazing. Jennie must be working, her husband used to work 60 to 70 hours a week. Now he's at home with the kids. She's working 60 to 70 hours per week, to do all this. Like, give us some idea of like, what's your typical work week look like? How much time are you spending like in the agency? Kind of give us a little bit of insight there.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'd say the first year, because I want to be real like transparent about that. I'm right now I work
Mhm.
about 20 hours a week in
Okay.
my agency, and then I
Mhm.
spend, I spend some time in Mavericks as well, working
Mhm.
with you all. But
Mhm.
in the agency, it's about 20 hours. Now, I didn't work 20 hours in the beginning. I worked
Sure.
about 40 hours in the beginning for the first year, year and a half, as I was really growing training my team and growing our systems and building client relationships. It was a full workload, but I wasn't working, 60 or 70-hour weeks. It was just kind of a normal full-time schedule. And then after about a year and a half, my husband and I decided that we wanted to have another baby. And so I very deliberately started paring down my schedule in preparation for knowing that, like, when I'm pregnant, I feel really awful. I'm healthy,
Mm.
but I feel
Mhm.
awful.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to want to work 40 hours when I was pregnant. So I kind of whittled my schedule down. So where I was working about 25 hours a week, and then we got pregnant, and I probably worked like 5 to 8 hours a week for the entire
Mhm.
pregnancy. And then now I work about 20. So,
But who paid your maternity leave, Jenny? I mean, how did you survive? Like, your husband's at home with the kids. You're recovering from just having a baby and all that entails. Which I've seen my wife do it 4 times. I know that you're like a hero when you do all that. So, I mean, how could you even survive with your husband at home and with only working 5 hours a week in the agency?
yeah, I mean, we had some savings, some padding, not from anything, any windfall, but just as we were preparing to get pregnant again, we kind of like at tax time, we're like, all right, we're gonna anything that we didn't have to pay to the government, we're gonna kind of like set aside and make sure we're budgeted
Mhm.
ahead at least like 2 months in the agency. So like we planned ahead a little bit with the cash flow, but then also my team just was able to keep our projects going through the pregnancy, even though I was only working like 5 to 8 hours a week because of the systems that we had built
Mm.
and because our projects are all fairly standardized in
Mhm.
the kind of like the structure of the sites that we build and just the systems of how we deliver it. Like, I'd actually didn't talk to my developer for like a year on Zoom. Like, we literally were just talking on Slack for a year, which is
Wow.
insane. That's how dialed in our processes were and are. So I think relying heavily on those systems was really key. And then just believing that we were gonna be able to do it, that it was gonna be fine. And
Mm.
and, the recurring revenue, of course, those care plans, those monthly plans helped a lot because, it just was some security there underneath if we had a month where we didn't have any projects that started or finished, which, that happened when I was on maternity leave. So,
Mm.
yeah. Anything
That's
that I'm missing
incredible because
there?
I'm sure you'll experience this as you're coaching more and more in agency Mavericks. I know you already are a coach and have way more qualifications than I do in terms of the coaching. But I think um, one thing that I've observed with a lot of the Mavericks and other agency owners and stuff that we're coaching is that um, I think a lot of times they come into the program and they're working 50, 60 hours a week. They're not a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids under the age of 8, and they're trying to do it all themselves. And they're kind of, they can feel like this rat in a wheel, right? That's just kind of can't get out to even like take a breath or to like work on their business because they're so just
Mhm.
in it, going constantly. And I think, um, it takes some foresight to say, hey, I don't want it to be like this 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whatever that is. So what do I need? And I think it's a good example too. Like when you had the baby, you were forced to, I mean, you could have tried to do more, but like you were forced to take a rest and work less hours or not work at all or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And I often try to tell agency owners, hey, if you got hit by a bus and you were laid up in the hospital and you couldn't even like use your fingers to do, the keyboard on a laptop in your hospital bed, and you just had to take a break, or you could only work, the doctor said, hey, you're only going to be able to work, an hour a day or whatever it is, right? An hour or two a day. That's all your body can handle. You're going to die. then you would figure out some way to like do what you had to do. You would cut out almost everything from your schedule. You wouldn't be the developer. You wouldn't be the designer. You would do whatever minimal strategy or other planning calls you had to do. If you had to do sales or whatever, the couple little strategy things that you had to do, that's all that you would do. And you would be forced to like let go of the stuff that you've been so used to doing for many agency owners. And I think that can be really uncomfortable, and it can be really a stretch for people to like just say, I'm not going to be the chief designer. I'm not going to be the chief developer. I'm going to just, trust. And I think that's a testament to you. It's a testament to your team. It's a testament to you of saying, hey, I'm going to be secure in my, I'm going to be secure enough, just like your husband was secure enough to stay at home. You're going to be secure enough not to be the chief designer, developer, all the things. And then also for your team to step up and really own it and take the lead with a lot of that stuff, I think is huge.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly how it was when I was pregnant. It was like, when I'm pregnant, I kind of become like this introvert that like is easily overstimulated. So like anything Zoom, anything like just even being in front of my computer for more than like an hour or two really just completely drained me. And I have to go get in bed for the rest of the day. And so I was just so careful about anything that I chose to do. Like, and I did the sales calls and I did kind of the project management. There wasn't a lot of that needed to be done. And really everything else, I just handed off as much as I could. And
then that forces you to build your systems, right? You get to have those in place and to build those and improve those. That's why I love taking a vacation without my computer, because it's not that I couldn't take my computer and do a little bit of this or that or whatever, but one, it says to my team, hey, I trust you and you've got this, which is awesome. And two, when there is some little hiccup in the process or something that needs tweaking, it becomes more evident and then we can fix it, right? So that then the next time you're without your computer or doing work, it goes that much smoother, right? And so I think it's just, when you can force yourself to unplug or to let go or to, to trust the team, then I think it has so many good side effects with that.
Yep. Absolutely.
So what would you say to agency owners that are out there? They may or may not be a mom with 3 kids or whatever, but they are either in that same situation where they're like, trying to juggle their other role, whether it be a day job or being at home with the kids or whatever, raising kids, being a spouse, all of that. They're either there trying to get this thing going, or they're that kind of rat in a wheel, just like spending 50, 60 hours a week, like missing that family time, missing all those things because they feel like if they don't, the business is going to fall apart. Like, what would you say to those people listening in one of those groups?
Yeah, I think what made the biggest difference for me from the beginning is being very, very, very disciplined with how I spend my time. And from the beginning, I remember in my journal, I've got written when my husband was still working full time and I was still full-time mom and growing the agency, I had time journals. The night before, I would sit down and I would document to like the 15-minute next day. And it's literally in my journal, it's like 10 a.m. to 10:30, fold laundry, 10:30 to 11, build the homepage for Laura, the client, and 11 to 11:30, feed the kids lunch. Like, it was just so detailed. And of course, like, there has to be some fluidity when you have kids because sometimes they get sick and just things happen. But that I was like, did my best to like stick to that really tight schedule. It gave me a sense of security because it was like, okay, I can trust myself that if I say I'm going to deliver a website in 2 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever, like, I know I'm going to get it done because it's already broken down and it's already on my schedule and there's already a plan. And so I didn't have to like have any drama about I'm going to be overworking to deliver this, or I don't know if I'm going to have time because the kids are going to need XYZ or whatever. Like, that was really empowering in the beginning. So, and I still do that. Now I don't do it every day. Like, I don't sit down at the end of the day and plan. I plan my week, like a week at a time. So every Sunday evening I sit down and I'm like, I have everything on my calendar of what I'm going to do that week broken down by day. And so that is what has helped me to not overwork because I can plan that I'm not going to overwork. Does that make sense?
But when someone's listening right now, they're saying, but what about that unexpected, problem that the client has, or these other things? Like, how do you handle the interruptions?
You just build it in. You build it in. So I actually have a 30-minute block every day called Daily Fire. Mm-hmm. And it's just on my calendar every day. And so I don't schedule anything in that ever.
Okay.
I have a plan ahead of time for if that doesn't get used, like if nothing comes up, no fire needs to be put out, that I'm going to, I know what I'm going to work on during that time. It's usually some business on the business project. But yeah, you just build it in, and maybe you need more than 30 minutes. Maybe you need an hour, or maybe you need 2 hours before you have, a team to help you and answer support tickets and stuff. Maybe you need to build in more time.
So what expectations do you set for your clients then on when you're available? Like, are you saying like, hey, if you contact us between these hours, someone will get back with you within a certain amount of time? Like, it seems like you've got the expectation management pretty good for your clients. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have a 48-hour support window is what we say. So,
okay.
And typically it's a lot faster than that, but I really like to under promise, over deliver.
Expectations low and, over deliver.
Yeah. So we have a 48-hour support window. Usually it gets answered faster. But that is what we do. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not
they're not expecting to call you up on the phone. They're not texting you their problems. They're not saying like, hey, can you get this done this afternoon? Like you've set that very clearly. So you have those boundaries. You're disciplined enough to plan your schedule and then stick to it. Right. So if your schedule ends today at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever, right, then you're done. And if you didn't get everything done, you're just kind of gonna sign off.
Well, if I don't get everything done, then I have to do it in my free time when I want to be with my family, and that is very motivating to me. So I do my best. Like, I'm not perfect at time management. I don't think anyone is, even if they claim to be. So
right.
But like, within a 15-minute give or take window, I know when I'm going to be done for the day, and I think that is really empowering. So
yeah, I think that's huge, and I think, if we're all honest with ourselves, I think working at home, like whether you have kids or not, there's enough distraction and there's enough lack of accountability, I guess you could say, for a better way to put it, that like you could just like, oh, I'm going to go do a load of laundry, or I'm going to go like run this errand, or I'm going to, open up my phone and whatever, check Facebook or play a mobile game or whatever distracts you, right? Read the news. It could be anything, right? That's like, nothing wrong with that in and of itself, but we mistake like, hey, I worked 12 hours today. And it's like, well, if someone was really watching over your shoulder, like, did you get distracted with like email that you didn't need to? Did you, check the news or do this or that or go on social media? Like it's easy to get distracted. Right. And so I think part of what I'm hearing you say is that like, you have to like tune out the distractions. You have to kind of say, hey, my family matters enough that I'm going to whatever it is, work 6 hours today, work 8 hours today, sign off by 5 p.m., whatever that is for you. And it's different for everyone. But it matters enough that I'm going to, prioritize it, which means if I waste time during the day, then really it's hurting my family in the evening, right? Because I didn't use my time as wisely as I could, or I got distracted, or I let fires interrupt me. And so I think that's huge, in terms of that.
Totally. Well, and there's something though that you want to be careful of, Johnny, because I'm going to go put my little coach hat on here for a minute. Like, it's so easy for us to, you get into the like time management wheel and you're like, okay, I'm going to, try to sit down and plan out my schedule more carefully. And then inevitably you're going to not follow your schedule in some area. You're going to work longer than you planned or spend more time on a thing than you planned. And then the temptation is to just like get in that wheel of like beating yourself up and being like, see, I'm terrible at time management. I'm never going to grow my agency. I'm not going to, or like, we kind of beat ourselves up, and we're layering the negative emotion of like shame and beating ourselves up on top of the already negative emotion of like the end result we're creating for ourselves when we don't manage our time, like the frustration that's already there. And I've just found that that's really not useful. Like, and I still do it sometimes too, but I try to catch myself when I'm getting into like self-judgment about how I spend my time. It's like, well, no, hold on. Remember, Jenny, that judgment is not useful. Like, that isn't serving you or helping you be more efficient. Let's just get really like curious. Let's just be kind of fascinated. Like, oh, interesting. It's so interesting that you worked more than you planned. Like, I wonder what happened there. Like we would talk to one of our kids or like one of our friends or something. You know, we wouldn't be like, oh, shame on you for spending more on that than you planned. Like, just get curious, because usually we have a really good reason for overspending our time on things, and it's just use it as a learning opportunity. Like, okay, what can I do differently next time, so that when the temptation comes to work longer on something, I can not do it. Or how, sometimes it's like, maybe I shouldn't actually even have been doing that thing in the first place, or I don't want to be doing it and I want to hire a designer now, or I want to, start. That's when you can kind of start seeing the usefulness of delegating too.
Yeah.
Resist the temptation to like judge yourself and just come from more of a place of curiosity and like fascination. And usually that's going to get you, move the needle for you, help you use your time more efficiently.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be uncomfortable, right? I mean, I remember like I was, even after I had developers on the team, I was still doing some of the design, and I was like feeling like I needed to hold on to that. And when I finally decided, like, okay, I'm a bottleneck here with the design, because I need to spend more time selling and less time designing, and so we hired a designer. And it was pretty quickly into that I realized, wow, like the websites looked good when I did them, but they look much better now that someone who's just focused on the design and really passionate about the design, even though I thought that I was, like can just really knock it out of the park better. So now it's that, and that was like a number of years ago. So now it's to the point where I'm like, oh man, like that's a website from like 4 or 5 years ago that I designed. Like, let's get that out of the portfolio and stuff, because I just think when you get the right people in the right seat and you empower them and you believe in them and stuff, like it's just magical. We are running out of time here. We did have a question here that I want to ask. How did you go about creating your processes, and any advice for how to start? That's from James. So I'll serve that up to you.
I just used the good old Pete Perry method. I literally I opened a spreadsheet, and on one column, I wrote everything that I do in the business, like every task, basically. Setting up Google Analytics, designing a page, like just everything that I could think of. And then each line item, each thing got, I think Pete has like 3 columns. It's like, am I good at this? Is it profitable when I do it? And there was one other one. Can you remember what it is, Johnny? Am I good at it? Profitable. And I think it was just like, do I like doing it or something?
Passion
like
or something.
Yeah. And then I just gave each one, like, it's a checkbox if that thing applied to the task. And the ones that had the fewest checks are what I created processes around first. And funny enough, the ones that had fewer checks were also probably the ones that are easiest to create a process around, like how to update a website in Managed WP.
Right.
So tedious, but pretty easy to create a process around, especially because you do it so many times. You can just record a loom of you doing it. It takes 5 to 7 minutes, and then you can assign, I just assigned it to my VA to like make a little checklist from the video, and that was all I did. So yeah, that's my suggestion. And my poor VA, the first month and a half she was working for me, she documented probably like 70 SOPs. That was like all she did.
Yeah.
But it was great, because then she knew our processes actually super, super well and could then transition into her role.
Yeah. And I find too that, and I think you're alluding to this, like when you're doing stuff and you're like, I'm going to have to do this again next week, next month, later this year, next year, whatever, like just push the record button and just talk to yourself while you do it. And it's kind of awkward at first, but you just push record and you just say, hey, I'm going into this thing. The client needed whatever Google Analytics added, or I do this, I have to update this thing. And it might take you an extra minute or two just talking it out, but just doing that. And it won't be like perfect. It's not going to be like something you're going to upload to YouTube and like get a gazillion hits on or anything. It's just going to be you being raw. Maybe you mess up something or whatever, and then you just label that, right? And then whether you have the team member right now, or whether you're going to have the team member soon or next month or next year, whatever, like you're going to have that to then say, hey, oh, we've had this happen before, or I've already documented how to do this. Sorry, this is an 18-minute video. Like it's probably a 6-minute job, but just watch this video and then you'll kind of understand it, and you can document it better and shorter or whatever, right? And it saves so much time.
Even if it's just you systems and processes are so important because it's what allows you to deliver a consistently quality service to your clients every time, because you never miss things when you have a process, or it's a lot harder to miss things when you have a process. Whereas when it's all in your head, our brains aren't meant to be storage containers. They're meant to be processors.
Love it. Jennie, wow. I'm inspired to end the podcast early here, sign off early, and cut my hours for tomorrow and next week, and just see how much I can get done in as little bit of time as I can. Thank you so much, Jennie, for coming on. You are an inspiration to me and to so many others. I'm so thankful that you're on as a coach. So thank you so much. We're just delighted to have you on. So, all right. Well, good to chat with all of you here. Hope that you've enjoyed this agency hour. We have got some incredible guests lined up, so you're not going to want to miss it. We're rolling out kind of an updated podcast platform and everything. That more details will be coming out. It'll be better quality audio, all the good things. Shout out to Max, who's running all the controls behind the scenes here, and Emily and Anna and everybody else who kind of makes this show possible. So thanks to them. We hope you enjoyed this hour, and we will see you on the next episode of the Agency Hour.